Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Scoop. I'm Jarret Johnson, and wow, what a week it has been for Red Raider basketball as Texas Tech last weekend knocked off Kansas at home, then number 6 Kansas. Big upset, but they controlled the game, won by 8, and it was just really impressive performance, especially with Kevin McCullough and Terence Shannon being out. They followed that up just 2 days later, or a couple days later, on Tuesday, by defeating Baylor, then number 1, previously undefeated, defending champ Baylor, who had won 21 games in a row. They beat them by 3 in Waco, no less. And from my understanding, it was almost like a home game for Texas Tech in Waco because there were so many Red Raider fans. You could certainly hear them. I wasn't there, but you could hear it on the telecast, just so the Raider Power chants and all that, and just hearing from some of you that were there of how awesome the Texas Tech fan presence was, which I think helped a lot. But this team, which got Kevin McCullough back, he won 100%, but man, did he help in that game. Shannon was out still, but obviously ginormous win. The Red Raiders are ranked number 19, but going into that game against Baylor, no doubt they'll be higher. But now they have another challenge, and it's different. And Mighty Joe Yeager wrote about it in his preview of the game. They host Oklahoma State tonight, Thursday night, 6 p.m. at the USA. The game is on ESPN Plus. It'll be streamed. There's no telecast, but it's streamed on ESPN Plus. But they have a different challenge in the fact that they're favorites. Texas Tech is 12-3 overall, 2-1 in the Big 12. Oklahoma State's 8-6 overall, 1-2 in the Big 12 with its one victory coming against Texas. But Tech is the favorite going into this game. They're expected to win. They had a very emotional couple of games against the two of the powerhouses in the conference. And so now you got to worry about a letdown. Look, it's not like Texas Tech's going to be that much more tired than Oklahoma State. Both these teams were supposed to open up Big 12 play against each other a week or so ago, but the game got postponed, so here they are. Oklahoma State lost a tough one at West Virginia, which is tough to travel, of course, out there on the East Coast. So it's not like they're not going to have tired legs. They're not going to be fatigued. They are as well. They're going to feel that. But it's really more for me just emotionally. Like, okay, you're able to get up for these big teams, these big games. How can you, and don't get me wrong, Oklahoma State has beat Texas Tech 3 times in a row, so they should have motivation going into this. I believe, actually, they dropped 2 games in overtime last year to the Cowboys, so some just knockdown, drag-out games between these two programs the last couple of years, and so you would think that Tech would be able to get up for this game, but then again, it's human nature. You beat Kansas, then you go on the road and beat the number 1 team in the country, in-state rivals, so it stands to reason there might be an emotional drop-off. And if that happens, that is the main ingredient for a recipe for an upset for the Cowboys against Tech in Lubbock. And this is a game Tech needs to protect its home court. They're 9-0 on the season at home. Of course, they beat Kansas at home already, so they're 1-0 in terms of at home in the Big 12. If they can get this this win right here, move to 3-1, only loss at Iowa State when you're undermanned, you're feeling pretty, you're sitting pretty going into that game against Kansas State. So another ingredient which I think would be big for Oklahoma State is, look, Tech has struggled at times this year in terms of turning the ball over, and Oklahoma State's top 10 in that regard. Like steals, they're also really good at protecting the rim. So if Tech, starts turning the ball over a lot, Oklahoma State turns that into offense, which Cowboys haven't been great offensively, but if they're able to get a lot of turnovers and get to the other end of the court, guys like Isaac Likely, who he's one of my favorite guys. I interviewed that guy a lot through the recruiting process. He really wanted to go to Tech. Of course, him and Boykins are family, so that helps a lot. When the head coach is family. He was going to Oklahoma State, but I love the way he plays. He's not a great shooter, but he is a floor general, distributor, defender. Just a guy who plays with heart. He reminds me of like a poor man's Jason Kidd, to be honest, with what he is. I don't know if he's quite as athletic as Kidd was and all that stuff and has some of the intangibles, but he's like that. That's what he reminds me of. So, big dude. So, they have some players. He's the guy I think of at first just because I just love the way he plays the game, and just in talking to him, he's a good dude, but Tech has a team full of good dudes. They've rallied around each other. This adversity with McCullough being out, and then some COVID protocols, people being out. Batcho's been out. Shannon has been out. But there's reason to believe that Terence Shannon might actually make his return tonight. And if he does, that's another layer to the storyline. The story that is Texas Tech basketball this year is like, how does the chemistry work? Because obviously you want Terence Shannon to come back. He's an all Big 12 performer. It's like you don't want him to come back. But how do they make all that work? How do they make, how do they still give Clarence Nadolny so many minutes? How do they, Davion Warren, who I know offensively struggled here and there, but he brings so much to your team, draws a lot of charges. Obviously, Adonis Arms has been running a lot of point. You don't want to take the ball out of his hands, he's been, that dunk he had against Baylor, one of my all-time favorite plays, not just in Texas Tech history, but in sports history. That was an amazing play. Had me jumping out of my seat and just going crazy. Who loses those minutes if Shannon comes in? So it'll be interesting to see. Mark Adams has his hands full. This is a totally different type of issue, coaching challenge. He's a very experienced coach. This isn't his first rodeo in doing this kind of thing, but it'll be interesting just for us to see how does he get this group of guys to get up for, even if it is Oklahoma State, a Big 12 opponent who's beat you 3 times in a row. How do you get them up for this game after those 2 games against Kansas and Baylor, where obviously the game plans were great, your teams executed to a T, and they played with great emotion. They have to bring that again, and that's really the whole key to this conference play, right? Especially a conference like the Big 12, where you can lose any given night to any of these teams, is can you consistently bring that kind of effort and emotion and execute? And we're going to find out if they can do it tonight against Oklahoma State, a team that will beat you if you don't bring your A game. So I can't wait to see what happens. Again, 6 p.m. Central Time. It'll be streamed on ESPN Plus. The game, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, will be played at the USA here in Lubbock. So we'll have Jaeger shots. We'll have a video recap. Double T Farmer, our photographer, will also be on hand. So we'll have photo galleries from that. All kinds of content. Can't wait to see what happens with Texas Tech basketball tonight, right? And then they play again against Kansas State just here in a couple of days as well. So we're in the thick of it. It's a great time. Appreciate you watching. Until next time.